Hey everyone, and welcome to Sales in Minutes. I'm Bira, and in this show, we invite sales professionals to share their best hands-on tips and step-by-step strategies on everyday sales challenges. Each episode is about 10 to 15 minutes and packed with ideas that you can start using right away. So on today's episode, we're joined by Fredrik Hellstrand, sales coach at Advisor Partner. Welcome, Fredrik.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Would love for you to just give a short background on your experience in sales before we jump into handling objections without being defensive.
Absolutely, for sure. So once again, thanks for having me. Basically, the past 3 years, I've been working at Advisor Partner as a sales coach, sales specialist, where I coach, consult companies within sales, and the result that we are trying to make is of course, increase of revenue and expansion for companies within basically every industry there is.
Wonderful. So walk us through, how can sales professionals handle objections without getting defensive? And what kind of mindset or process helps to do that effectively?
I mean, it's a really interesting topic, actually, because when you're in a sales process with a client, it's very usual that it doesn't go seamlessly from first contact to deal. And the first thing we think is important to understand is that what is an objection? Because if you understand that, you then can process and understand how you can handle it. So the second thing that you need to understand is that when an objection is coming, it can actually be a true one or what we call a false one. Let's say that I have a dialogue with a client that says, for example, I think your price is too high. That could be a true objection, but it could also be a false objection. And what I mean by that is that it could actually be true that the client thinks that the price is too high, or she or he is saying that because he doesn't want to say the real reason that they don't want to buy. Either way, you need to figure out, is this a true objection or is this a false objection? Because you cannot handle the false objection.
I think it's an interesting angle. Because I'm in sales as well. Obviously, I handle objections like left and right. You never know exactly the reason behind the objection itself. So what would symbolize a false objection?
Let's say that you are trying to book a meeting with a client.
Yeah.
And the client, as soon as you get in contact, said something like, I'm not interested. That would be a typically false one, because how can it not be interesting when you haven't told this person what you're there to offer? So what would be the true objection behind I'm not interested? Probably that they don't have time to talk about this right now, right? So, but we are saying that I'm not interested because I just want to get rid of this salesperson that is calling right now. Another thing that is very important to understand when you're handling objections, and this one is, I would say the most important one, is that you cannot get into an argument. That's like the number one rule in sales or in life for that way, that you need to avoid getting into an argument because there are just two losers in that.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, that could also be applied to like your personal life.
Absolutely.
Like to create a parallel.
Yeah,
but obviously,
absolutely.
I mean, try to understand the reason behind the comments. I'm guessing like is a huge part of it.
Yeah. And that takes us to the next step, a formula for objection handling.
Okay.
So let me take you through those steps. So let's, for example, have an objection in a sales process. So because it's a different type of, we can call it techniques. If there's on the phone or if it's in a physical meeting during the sales process. So the first and most important step is to listen until the whole objection comes.
Okay.
So the client says something like, Bida, I think your product is too expensive, or we don't have time for this right now, or we have other priorities. You really need to show that you're listening to the entire objection. Because how many times have you had that is a person in front of you that you're saying something till, and you can, even if you haven't finished your words, you can see that the person are already figure out what they are supposed to say.
Yeah. Happens all the time.
which is like, what type of impression do you get from that person? Is that person listening to you or
Nope.
not? No,
Definitely
exactly.
not.
No.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. The other one is to acknowledge the objection. And that isn't harder than to say something like, okay, I understand. I'm hearing what you're saying. That's the entire, that's like basically it. The next step is what we call duplicate it. And what that means is that you are saying exactly the objection. So let's say that, for example, if you tell me some type of objection that you're getting typically.
We don't have time to prioritize this.
Understand? You don't have time to prioritize this. That's kind of basically it, even if I'm not acting as good as I maybe are when it really happens. But yeah. that is kind of the way of handling it.
Yeah. Okay.
And here is also important to understand which word you are using when you respond. So if I, for example, use the word but.
Yeah.
What type of impression do you get when I say the word but?
I get defensive.
Right, huh?
Yeah, you should use and.
Exactly. so it's very important also to use the right type of word before we respond to that type of saying.
Yeah.
So once again, listen through, acknowledge, I understand, you are not prioritizing this right now, pause, and here we suggest that you use what we call some type of technique. And at Advisor Partner, we have developed 19 different types of techniques to handle different types of objections. And I figure out that I give 2 examples in 2 different scenarios. Let's take the scenarios when you call and book meetings. Yeah. Very often you get interrupted as soon as you present yourself with something like, I don't have time, or I'm not interested, and so on. If that objection comes very early, we suggest that you use a technique that's called ignore. So that basically means that I'll do, so let's say that I'm calling you and I'm saying like, hi, my name is Fredrik, and you say, I'm not interested, I don't have time right now. My response would be like, okay, I understand, you're not interested right now. So what I was saying is that I'm calling from this and this company, and the reason that I'm calling, yada, yada, yada. So what I'm using here is a technique called ignoring.
Yeah. Because
it's a false objection. And it could sound like, well, what do you mean? You're not listening to the person, but I'm not giving them room to, have an opt-out.
Exactly, because also like one example of that could be if you call and you tell them, you've just won a car. You just won a Porsche. Obviously, the timing for that call, even though it's not like accurate, they're going to want to take that call.
Yeah,
of course.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. So another scenario is within the sales process. Let's say again that the client says something that they don't want to prioritize this. So a pretty normal objection. Mm. And it could be that they don't prioritize this right now. But however, if they would have find value in your proposition, they would have bought, right? It could be a false objection, but it could be real. But either way, you want them to prioritize your offer. Yeah. So another technique you can use that, same formula, but using a technique that we call the the two technique. and what that is actually trying to see if it's the product or the price that maybe is the thing that they are not really convinced about.
Yeah.
So it could sound something like this. Okay, I understand EBITDA, you're not prioritizing this right now. It's not very uncommon that I hear this type of scenario from other clients. But when I hear that, it actually is either you're not sure about the product or the service that we are offering and the value that it could bring, or it's actually the price that isn't right. Which one is it for you?
Okay. So give them the two options and then, yeah.
Yes.
Another thing, this is really good actually. I like this. And sometimes I also do, I mean, as a sales rep, you constantly talk to stakeholders.
Yeah.
And obviously everybody wants to feel like, yeah, I have the decision-making stake. I mean, I could buy stuff. I have a budget.
Yeah.
But maybe you're just like talking to the wrong person.
Yeah.
And sometimes I actually counter with the question, are you the right person to talk to about this? I mean, obviously there are so many ways to tackle different responses. But yeah, I like the true and false type of objection.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and my last tip is don't do it so complicated. I mean, more than enough, we see that if you do an exercise where you write down your 4 or 5 typically objections that you get, and then come up with different types of sayings, how you can handle that type of objection.
Yeah. Another thing I find like interesting, I mean, how do you stay calm and how do you stay curious in that moment instead of like trying to win the argument, which it is.
That
I mean,
is
it's an
exactly,
argument.
is exactly the mindset you need to have.
Yeah.
So
And how?
yeah, I mean, you need to have your investigation hat on you, because it's a feeling that they are having. There's something more deep inside. For me, I try to have the approach that this client isn't 100% convinced, because if they were 100% convinced, they would like to buy. Now I'm pretty experienced. I can really like identify when the false objection comes, and also the true objection. So let's say that they come up with something like the price isn't right, and you've probably been with this as well. So the client is basically convinced, but they feel that the price isn't right. They want to negotiate the price, and the way to handle that is to like, okay, just forget the price for a second. So if you just look at the service and the product, like, are you 100% convinced that this is what you want to get? Yeah, it is. Okay, great. So I'm not saying that I can maybe do something around the price, but let me see what I eventually can do. But if I do, is there anything else that we need to cover before we can come to an agreement? Or is it just the price we need to handle right now?
Yeah.
And then silence.
Mm.
And if they say something like, no, it's just the price. Like, if you can give us something more, if you can do something around the price, there's no reason that we can't like shake hands today.
Yeah. God, that is also interesting because sometimes, I mean, people have their principles and stuff. Sometimes they just want to feel like they're getting like the last little itty bitty like thing out of the deal itself.
Yeah, but everyone wants to feel that they are doing a good deal. Absolutely. And I mean, it's a big topic, and there's different types of technique. But I think that the mindset should really be that be curious, be really curious, and shut up and really try to listen. And that has been one of my problems as well, focusing on how can I like handle that objection, which technique can I do, instead of like, Fredrik, just listen and try to understand what are they actually saying. Because when you use too much technique and you see that a salesperson is eager and have every technique in their book to handle the objection, you feel as a client like, okay, doesn't matter what I'm saying. Like, this guy or girl is coming with every argument that they've been trained to say when I say this. So
Yeah. And
be
it's like,
genuine and curious.
I have this picture, an image in my head sometimes when I face an objection. It's like I'm having like this toolbox full of tools.
Yeah.
It's like throwing this out, trying that one, try this one.
Yeah.
It's like calm down.
Yes.
We're gonna get there. Just like try to understand. So yeah, I'm fully with you. Thank you so much, Fredrik, for
My
giving us
pleasure.
some like good tips and tricks.